Hi, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode on the show, Behind the Scenes in Health with Dr. Ron. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Ron, and I talk about everything healthcare. Sometimes I do interviews with doctors, nurses, students. I just do interesting stuff that you find useful and impactful. So if that's the kind of content you signed up for, you're in the right space. So just hit the subscribe button. So today's episode, I'm going to be talking about several reasons why you didn't get the job or you're not offered the job. And this comes up from the backdrop of a discussion I was having with a colleague last week, where he was complaining about not being offered the role, a lot of rejections, and all of that. So I tried to put him through some of the reasons why he would have been rejected in those offers and all of that. So if this is something you want to hear, you might just want to stick around to the end of this video. So we're sharing some of those reasons why. So quickly into the conversation. The first reason is company culture mismatch. Now, during an interview, you're being assessed if you're able to fit into the company culture. Now, different organizations have different types of company culture, right? So that's another conversation for another day, but it exists. And they are assessing you to see if you're going to fit. And if it's obvious, maybe your values don't align with theirs and all of that, then likely they might not want to get you on board. So that's one reason. Another reason is highly co-competitive or highly competitive co-applicants, right? So that you're applying for a job means several other persons are also applying for the same job. A lot of persons might be able to pack in more years of experience, some people pack in more certifications or qualifications and all of that. So because every job has a qualification criteria. So, for instance, a job might be requiring 5 years experience. Somebody packs in 8 years of experience. They might likely look at that person than you, who's just out of university or just maybe 1 or 2 years of experience. So you always have to bear that in mind that people who might be more qualified than you are also applying for that same job role. And the third one is lateness to interview. I mean, in this age and time, some people are still coming late for interviews. You live in Lagos, you live on the mainland, you have an interview on the island, and you're leaving your house by maybe 7:30, 8:30. I mean, yeah, we understand the whole traffic madness, but you need to plan, you need to leave early because that doesn't say well about you. I mean, even though your interviewers might be smiling at you in the interview, what happened and all of that. But trust me, it's a red flag and you might not likely be hired. This also applies for people who are going for online interviews. I mean, you have a Zoom call or a Teams call by 12 p.m. or 10 a.m. and that is the time you want to log into the app to check if you can connect. No, you should have done all of those connectivity tests. Log in like 20 minutes before time just to make sure all of that is working. And if you're using a modem, you need to I advise have an extra. If you're using MTN, we keep SpectraNet by the side, or SpectraNet you keep MTN by the side, just to avoid any technical glitches, so that you don't sign in late and start telling them you have technical issues and all of that. It doesn't sound cool for an employer to hear that. So lateness to interviews is another factor that makes or facilitates rejection. Then the next one is body language. During an interview, apart from the things you're saying or the answers to the questions you're being asked, they're also looking at your body language. And it's easy to notice if you're really passionate about the job or if you're really interested or enthusiastic about working with that company or working for that company. So if your body language is different from what's coming out from your mouth, they'll definitely know and likely they might not give you the job, right? Then social media posts. Now in this agent time, a lot of companies are beginning to, look at your social media profile. I've seen job ads that probably require you to key in your Twitter handle and all of that. Or, without them even asking, they just run your name and, the internet never lies. They find you, they see the kind of things you're doing and all of that. So that's why I tell a couple of friends, like my people in the healthcare space, try and keep your timeline sane. Or, don't use that 5 minutes of clout to, spoil a lifetime of opportunities and all of that. So keep your social media posts very, very sane. Then the next one is email communication. Now, this has happened to me several times. I've missed a lot of job offers, opportunities because I failed to check my email. When I even say check emails, I mean also checking your junk or your spam email apart from the primary inbox. Sometimes some of those offers drop in there. So what happens is by the time you see it, it's already late and they're probably giving the job to someone else. So you need to be on the top of the game. I check my email every morning, both the primary inbox, both the junk mail to make sure I've not missed anything. And it's even more important if you're actively looking for a job, then you cannot afford to be slacking in checking your emails. So that has to be your number one priority every day. So email communications. Then failure to comply with simple instructions is another factor that probably lead to rejection. Yeah, I've seen interviews where they say, come and do a one-page PowerPoint presentation, and you arrive with a five-page PowerPoint, trying to impress. I mean, there's a reason why they said do one page for us. Or they say you want a 10-minute presentation or a 15-minute presentation, and you're doing a 30 minutes. Fine, they might allow you to finish your presentation, but I think in that part of the checklist, you've already failed it. So that's why it's important to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse before the interview so that you're able to hit the 10-minute mark or maybe 8 or 9 minutes mark, you know, so that you don't run short of or run foul of the instructions that they've given to you. Then the next one is that qualification mismatch. Your qualifications don't match for the role. Now, I know a lot of persons who try for some roles even when they're not qualified to do those roles, right? So, I mean, from the outset, they check if you're qualified. We're looking for a project manager who has Prince 2 practitioner, and you don't even have Prince 2 foundation, talk less of practitioner, and you applied for the role. They might likely, weed you out of the whole process. But that notwithstanding, too, again, for those who work abroad, there's usually an emphasis in your supporting statement. So if you're able to sell yourself with a very strong and well packaged supporting statement. So that could also suffice too, because in some ads you will see maybe Prince 2 certification or equivalent. So that equivalent is usually talking about your experience, probably managing projects or something. So if you're able to say, look, even though I don't have this paper, I can do the job, then that gives you an opportunity to get the role. Otherwise, if you don't qualify, they just bounce you. Then another one is late applications. So once you see a job ad, please don't delay. Try to put in your application as fast as possible because, I mean, a lot of people apply for jobs. So if I put out an ad now and I get 500 applications, that's a whole lot to go through, right? So recruiters might say, okay, we'll cut it at the 100 person. So we'll review the first 100. If we don't find what we're looking for, we can now expand. And if you don't fall into that 100, automatically you don't get scheduled, right? So yeah, that's it. And the last one is you were not prepared for the interview. Before you go, shall read, prepare very well for your interview. Because that's a part a lot of people miss. You don't do your research, you don't read about the company, you don't read about the job description, you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing in the company and all of that. So you need to do your research well because they will find out if you've prepared or not. Case in point, I know somebody was telling me that most of the questions she was asked were actually the answers were on the website and didn't check the website and automatically she didn't get the answers and she didn't get the job, right? So always do your research before you go for the interview. So these are the top factors or top 10 factors that might be the reason for your rejection. So every time you're applying for a job, you might want to put these factors in mind and try to plug in mitigating steps to avoid getting into troubles like this, right? So if there's one I've missed, you can pop it in the comment section. And yeah, so let's see how it goes. That's it on today's episode. I'll see you next week in another episode. Bye for now.